Hello, and welcome back to Under a Rock with Brielle and Guerlain. Hey.
Hello.
Today we are continuing discussing book 3 of Avatar: The Last Airbender,
hmm
episodes 12, 13, and 14.
Yes,
So
I think.
hopefully that's right.
I feel like we got confused somewhere, and so who knows?
Who
But
knows? But let's jump into it.
yeah, so the first episode that we're talking about is the Dance of the Dragons. It's the Sun Warriors episode. It's a good episode. These next few episodes are really, really good because it's Zuko basically going on his life-changing field trips with
hmm
everyone, except for Toph. Toph doesn't get a life-changing field trip, but she didn't lead one.
No, she didn't.
She didn't lead one. And she can do that later when they're both like adults.
Mhm.
She can like bang open the doors of the Fire Nation Palace and be like, Zuko, we're
Bas-
going on a trip. All right.
I mean, I feel like Top just needs to vent. She doesn't need a life
yeah.
changing trip, just venting.
Yeah. They don't even need to go anywhere. They just got to let her talk.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. So Zuko is teaching Aang firebending,
Mhm.
and it's not going so well because not only can Aang not firebend, he kind of doesn't want to because he hurt Katara all those months ago. But Zuko is having a lot of trouble firebending too. And something that I love is when Zuko tries to firebend and it's like that little spark, and still claps for him. He's like, "That was good," and Zuko's like, "No, it wasn't."
It's supposed to be a raging flame,
Yeah,
not this little tiny
yeah.
spark.
But Aang is such a positive kid. He's like, "Yay, go
Yeah.
Zuko!" Um, but what they realize is that Zuko can't access his like fire energy, I guess, because the thing that was kind of fueling it was anger and rage and like vengeance. And that doesn't exist anymore because he's helping Aang and the rest of them. So he kind of doesn't have any purpose with which to firebend. So they basically decide that they're going to go to the source of firebending
Mhm.
because Toph, who is like so smart in this episode, she's like, well, the Badger Moles were the first Earthbenders, the Sky Bison were the first Airbenders. So if dragons were the first firebenders, go to the dragons. I also really love the little story that Toph tells and like how she learned how to earthbend from the Badger Moles, which I think is why she's so good at it because she was taught by the original source. She didn't have anyone else kind of putting their input into how to earthbend. And so she learned it in its like most pure form, not only as, like she said, a martial arts style, but as like a way of living. And I
Mhm.
think that's why she's so good, you know?
Right. Because she learned from the
Yeah.
masters.
Even though she's so much younger than all of these like great masters, the reason I think she's so good is because she learned it in its like most pure form.
Exactly. And when she was giving that advice, she came off really Iroh-ish. The way
Yeah.
she said it and the way she
Yeah.
was sitting too.
Yeah. Um Something else I just want to say before we get to them going to the dragons. I really love Aang calling Zuko Sifu Hot Man. I just love that. I think that's so cute. And Sokka's like, "Hey, can I watch you two jerks do your jerk
Jerk
benching?"
bending.
Right. So basically Zuko and Aang tell everybody that, hey, we're gonna go and try to find the dragons. They're all, they're extinct, but we're gonna see if we can learn something from them. Katara's being a bitch, gotta love her.
Yeah, she's still holding on to that Fire Nation hatred.
Yeah. It's so funny. I was watching it with my mom and she was like, why is everyone so mean to Zuko? And I was like, he tried to kill them several times.
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, but he's good now. And I was like, but they don't know that.
You will hold a grudge if someone tried to kill
Yeah.
you.
I love it. I honestly love Katara being a bitch. But yeah, but Zuko realizes that he's been basing his firebending off of anger and hatred, and that just doesn't work for him anymore. And it makes sense because, that's how he was taught. He was taught how to firebend from like Azulon and from Ozai, and those men are able to like fuel their firebending with anger, with hatred, and Zuko, I think, has just always been different. He's always just had a different kind of personality. He's always had such a big heart that it explains why ever since he was little, he had trouble with firebending because he said that before that like Azula was the prodigy, but he always struggled with learning firebending. And I think it's because they were trying to teach him the wrong way,
Mm-hmm.
you know? Same with Aang. Like Zhang Zhang may have been a great firebender, but he just wasn't the right teacher for Aang. He was telling Aang to approach firebending through fear,
Right.
you know? And so I think that's why it's so important for Zuko and Aang to go on this journey because they both have to learn how to firebend for themselves, like in a way that works for them, you
Mm-hmm.
know?
And that's a good point. It goes back to the whole good and evil constantly struggling within Zuko.
Yeah,
That makes sense as to why, as a kid, he always struggled.
yeah, exactly. Um, you know, like unlike Azula, anger weakens Zuko. You know,
Right.
sometimes some people anger can make them focus, can give them more strength with the adrenaline, but other people like Zuko, it makes them disoriented, it confuses them, it distracts them, you know. So
Yeah.
it yeah.
I love how when they're on Appa, Zuko's just like, I thought this would be way faster. Like, how was I not able to capture you?
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Oh man, it's so funny.
Mm-hmm.
Uh yeah, so they and Lang's like, "Hey, so here's a rule. Don't be annoying. Like get that grit, like that frown off your face, you know. We start every adventure with smiles, you know."
Positive energy.
Yeah. Zuko's such a teenager. You think he'd be a little more accommodating considering that he's like trying to get in good with the Avatar. You think he'd be a little bit nicer, but nope, he's just got to be a teenager.
All grunge and
Yeah.
antsy,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, but they get to the Sun Warriors kind of area and it's kind of decimated.
Mm.
And Zuko explains to Aang that the reason he was a little hesitant to go on this journey is because all of the dragons were killed. And they were killed by firebenders. The last one was killed by his uncle.
Mm.
And it's once again a reminder that the Fire Nation didn't just hurt everyone else. They hurt themselves too.
Right.
You know, I mean, Sozin, in all his, you know, infinite wisdom, I say with like eye rolling, didn't think about what the ramifications would be to kill the dragons. You know, the original benders, the original firebenders, the original source of it all. He just saw it as a quest for glory and power. And now, years later, you know, his great grandson is dealing with the ramifications.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, yeah, it's just more reminders in this show that it's not just black and white, it's very gray, you know?
Yeah. And it's the logic of it was so stupid.
Yeah.
So you kill a dragon, and all of a sudden, your firebending is legendary. Like, how does that make sense?
I mean, I guess it's the same with any kind of hunting that
Mm.
isn't for like food or protection. It's seen as a mark of masculinity,
Mm.
that you have killed another being, that you have killed something that could kill you, but you have triumphed over it. And I guess for the firebenders, to kill something that originated their source of power probably
Hmm.
exhibits like a sense of strife. I
So
don't agree with it. I
yeah.
don't agree with hunting in general. You know, I only really believe in hunting as a source of food or protection or population control because deer get out of hand, and I think we should kill deer. But that's beside the point.
What was that?
Okay. Listen. I went to school in upstate New York,
Mm.
and as anyone from upstate New York will tell you, deer are a menace. Everyone's like, "Oh, deer are so pretty and so like beautiful and graceful." No, deer are stupid.
Oh, because
Deer are stupid and they get hit by cars all the time because they can't just not cross a road. Why, you know? And so in a lot of places they will let you hunt for population control. So not just deer, like a lot of animals, if you don't hunt them, they will get too big and they'll like mess up the ecosystem. But like, yeah, deer are hunted sometimes for population control.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you had a incident with a deer or?
Uh, no, I thankfully have not, but
Mm.
I've had several friends tell me about like almost hitting a deer with their car and like, you know, like seeing dead deer on the roads and
Mm.
stuff. So, yeah.
No, gotcha.
I'm not saying like Bambi's mom should have died. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying like deer are stupid and I don't mind that we have to kill them.
The pitch had it coming. Anyways.
No. I mean, she shouldn't have gone out into the open grass or whatever. Whatever. Right. So they get to this like big door and they have to open it. And like a lot of other Fire Nation doors, it's only opened by a light that's in a certain place. And like, I get it aesthetically, that's really cool and that makes sense because of like fire and the sun and all that. But that's really, really stupid. Like, that's so inconvenient.
Yeah, you can only go inside and
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
like, obviously, Zuko, like, you know, uh, fixes it by just using a sword. And I'm sure other people can figure out to do that too.
Mhm.
But like the fact that you can't just open the door is like really, really annoying. Like at least in the air temples, you have to use airbending, but like everyone has airbending, or they
Mhm.
assumed that everyone would have airbending. They didn't know they'd be killed in a genocide. But like those doors are easier to open because you just need airbending. But like that's so inconvenient. Like what if you just have to go in there to get something? You gotta wait.
Well, maybe since it was a calendar thing, maybe the egg that's in there, maybe they put an egg in there every summer solstice,
Oh, maybe.
possibly. Um, I love Aang's reaction. He's just like monkey feathers, not the solstice again. Like,
Yeah.
what is this, book one? Like, no.
Same, Ang, same. That was my point of view. But yeah, so Zuko's able to open the door, and Aang says, "You know, everyone's wrong about you, Zuko. You really are smart." And like Zuko's little smile,
Mhm.
Zuko's little smile. Oh my god, it's so
He was
cute. He's like,
adorable.
"I am smart." Like, I mean, that's got to be one of the first times that anyone's ever like complimented him besides his uncle and
Mhm.
possibly May. Like, aw.
And
I
then
just love that little smile.
the last second he like thought about it. It's like, wait, what do you mean? What,
Yeah.
who else has said something?
Yeah. um and then so they get into the court, like the room, and there's like all these statues, and they basically are showing a firebending form. And so Zuko and Aang kind of do it together because they realize that by stepping on the stones, something's gonna happen. They don't know
Mhm.
what. They don't think that through, but something's gonna happen. Uh, and so they do the like dance, and they come together, and an egg comes out of the floor, and Zuko, Mr. Indiana Jones over here, picks it up with no regard.
At all.
And he and Aang basically get like glued to the ceiling. Thank goodness Aang flipped him,
Yeah,
because he would have suffocated and died.
most definitely.
Like, so they are stuck against this like grate, and they don't know what to do. They can't break free. Aang tries yelling. Zuko's like, maybe we should contemplate our place in the universe.
This is not the time to get
Existential.
existential.
Honestly, though, like Zuko and Aang, the duo we didn't know we needed.
Yeah.
They're so funny together. They really, really are.
It's like a different dynamic between Aang and Sokka's. Aang and Sokka's like big brother, little brother.
Yeah.
With Aang and Zuko is more like, it's almost like a buddy cop type thing.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, definitely. I feel like there is a little bit of sibling energy.
Mm.
Because as a sibling, I feel like every friendship I have with someone who's like older or younger than me has a touch of that,
Mhm.
because you just can't help it. But it's definitely buddy cop. Yeah, Aang and Sokka are more little brother, big brother, but Zuko and Aang are more buddy cop.
Just
Yeah,
the bandit that they have. Like,
yeah,
you just had to pick up the golden egg, huh?
yeah. Eventually, though, they get saved by the Sun Warriors. Very big, like Incan and Mayan
Mhm.
and like Aztec vibes. Very like much like a Mexico, South America kind of vibe, which is fun.
Yes.
You know, because most of the show is so like, like Asian inspired. So for them to kind of go down this like Latino route is kind of cool too.
It almost reminded me of the Emperor's New Groove. Kind
Yeah,
of the way they were dressed.
yeah. There's definitely that kind of flair to them with the way that they paint their faces,
Yeah.
and also just the way the buildings are set up with the like levels and the stairs in the middle. That's a very, very like Aztec, Incan, Mayan. Because I don't know, I admit that I'm not educated enough in these cultures, so I don't know what exactly goes to what culture. So I kind of tend to group them all together in my head. I know they're not all the same thing. I'm just saying, because of my own lack of knowledge, I thought of all three.
That's what it. Yeah.
But yeah, the Sun Warriors basically say like, oh, if you want to, learn firebending, you have to go to the masters, and if the masters approve of you, they will teach you. And they say that fire is not just destruction, it is life, it is energy. And I was like, yes, yes. And I think that's so important. That's so important for Zuko and Aang to learn.
Yeah.
That life, that fire is not just destruction, that it can be a good thing, that it can be a positive thing. Because for Aang, coming into the world the way he did, fire was immediately considered a destructive, horrible thing. Fire destroyed his people, fire hurt Katara. And for Zuko, fire, he was brought up in it, but it was full of hatred and, fear and, inadequacies and stuff. And then Zuko sees that the pain that the Fire Nation has brought. He knows the pain that fire brought. It's on his face. And so I think this is really great for both of them to realize that there is a positive component to fire.
Yes.
And that there always has been. And it was Sozin who corrupted it, And so they get their little fire. And Aang goes, oh, it's like a little heartbeat.
Oh.
And I was like, yes. Yes, it is like a little heartbeat. And yeah, so they basically have to like walk up this like mountain to get to the masters. And I feel like in this little part right here, you really see Aang's anxiety and his nervousness because, he's constantly like, I don't know if we should do this. Like, I don't know if I'm ready to learn firebending. Like, Zuko, are you sure you can't help me? I feel like in this moment, Aang is really kind of dealing with the way that he feels about the failed invasion, his past, attempts at firebending. I feel like in this part of the show, in general, I feel like Aang is not as happy-go-lucky as he was. I think that the failed invasion really was a blow to his ego and really was a moment in time for him that made him feel unsure. And I think that's why later on, he's so hesitant about killing the Fire Lord. He's so back and forth about it. Because the last time he was so gung-ho about it, it all failed and people got hurt and people got imprisoned. And so I think, it really shows in this episode and I think in the following episodes, Aang's apprehension,
Definitely. He just doesn't want to fail again.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely.
He's worried about walking too fast because if he does, his flame will go out.
Yeah.
And I like the little positive reinforcement that Zuko gave him. It's like, don't worry, you get it. You're a talented kid.
Yeah.
Just keep going.
That's why I think Zuko is such a good teacher for Aang because he definitely can be a little tough love sometimes, but he has such a kindness to him that comes out, it's so genuine. He doesn't give people compliments for no reason. And I think that's why it works so well because Aang and later like Sokka and Katara and all that like realize that when Zuko compliments him, he really means it. And so that's really sweet.
Yeah.
So they get to the like cliff thing and the Sun Warriors are like, okay, go up there, present your flames. And if the masters approve of you, they'll teach you firebending. Did you expect dragons?
No, I didn't.
Really?
It caught me off guard when I first watched it as a kid. When all the noise and blah blah. I'm expecting two guys to walk out.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
You knew it was dragons.
I had a feeling it was gonna be the dragons just because of like the fact that like Zuko was like, yeah, my uncle killed the last one. He was a complicated guy, and I was like, yeah, he kind of was. He kind of was. But the way that the caves were shaped, I was like, oh my god, is it gonna be dragons? Oh my god, it's gonna be a dragon. And then dragons come out, and again, red Oni, blue Oni, a blue dragon and a red dragon.
Yes.
And the blue dragon faces Aang, and the red dragon, well, not faces, the blue dragon dances with Aang, and the red dragon dances with Zuko. Yeah, because those are their personalities. But after they do their dance of the dragons, when the dragons are like kind of judging them, the blue one is facing Zuko and the red one is facing Aang. And I think that's important. That the part of them that isn't as strong, the part of them that can't access fire that way is judging them. And I like that. Yeah.
That's it. Hey,
yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, I mean, listen, this is all my speculation, but and then the dragons basically accept them as, firebenders, and they breathe fire, and it's all these beautiful colors. And this shot this shot of like Aang and Zuko with the fire around them and it's all these rainbow colors, that's beautiful.
Yes.
That's so gorgeous. That animation, that coloring, that whole scene, and like Zuko and Aang finally understand what firebending is about. Like Zuko says, I understand.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Aang realizes that it's not something to be feared. It's something beautiful. Like they just, in that moment, they're given visions by these dragons about what firebending really is and what it's supposed to be. And it's so beautiful.
It is.
Oh my God, it's so beautiful. It's so moving.
Like one of the most beautifully animated parts of this series. Like,
yeah. Oh, definitely.
if not number one.
Yeah.
You know, the most.
Yeah. And I think it's very important that Aang did it with Zuko.
Yes.
Because if Zuko had gone with someone else or by himself, not to say he wouldn't have learned the lesson, but I think the fact that he was doing it with Aang, who was his sworn enemy and who was at one point in time, you know, his friend, you know, like not really his friend, but like Sozin and Roku, you know, I think is so important and so meaningful. And I think it's just one more step on the healing that will come of their friendship.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they find out that Iroh didn't kill the last dragon. He actually learned the secrets too, you know, which is great, you know.
Iroh is the man of many secrets.
Yeah.
He even with a complicated past. So that begs the question. So did he learn the secrets after the fail of Ba Sing Se or before?
I believe so.
You think it was
I
after?
believe so. I believe after his son passed away, I believe that's when he went to the dragons.
It will make sense, right?
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure, like I read somewhere that that's when he went. I don't know when exactly in that 5 years, but in those 5 years, he went back to the dragons, and instead of killing it, he spared the dragon and learned the secrets, and that also I think aided in his kind of heel face turn to be a good guy.
Yeah. Because that made sense in my head, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah, that's what. Also, just like completely backtracking, something that I really love is when Aang's flame goes out when he's standing on the platform, and he's like, "Hey, Zuko, give me some of yours," and they're like fighting.
Stop trying to cheat off of me.
Yeah, and like all the Sun Warriors are like, "Ay."
It's hilarious.
Yeah, but yeah, no, I just really love this episode, and then like they all go back to the kids, and you know, Zuko and Aang basically explain what they learned, and you know, you can definitely see the whole gang being like, "Wow, that's really cool." So what's that move called again, Zuko? Dancing Dragons.
It's a nice name though.
Yeah.
It's a nice name.
Yeah.
And real quick, when they both showcased some firebending after they learned the secrets.
Yeah.
When Aang did it and it was slow-mo and he was smiling, it's almost the same shot as when he first firebend when he burned Katara.
Oh yeah.
Except this time he didn't burn anyone.
Yeah, he was in control. He felt confident. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's true. I didn't even realize that with the slow-mo. Yeah. Something I also will say, like that it makes sense for the form to be called the Dancing Dragon because the Fire Nation is full of dancers. Like Aang says that himself when they sneak in and they do Footloose. Like Aang is basically like, oh yeah, they danced all the time in the Fire Nation and then it stopped. So I really like that. I like the idea of the Fire Nation being very arts and culture heavy. Like I really like that.
Damn you, Sozin. Fucked up everything.
You want to know what, Sozin? You know what? Ember Island players are your fault. They are your fault, Sozin.
I love the Ember Island players.
They're bad.
I know, but like
they're
it's a
bad.
good type of bad.
No, they're not.
No?
No. We'll get into it. Okay, so then the episode ends. Everybody's happy. Everybody is good. Aang and Zuko have their firebending back.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we go into episodes 13 and 14, which are a two-parter, which is the Boiling Rock, which are my favorite episodes. I love these episodes so much. Oh man, I love the Boiling Rock, aka, hey, did you guys know that Zuko and Sokka are dating? AKA, hi, I'm Suki, and this is my boyfriend Sokka, and this is his boyfriend Zuko, and this is his girlfriend May, and this is her girlfriend Ty Lee.
Ay, ay, ay. Not everything is part of your gay fanfic, Brielle.
No, but listen, I got notes, I got receipts.
Mm-hmm.
I got it right here.
I bet you did.
Sokka, Suki, and Zuko. They're all here.
See, I'm annoyed because as I'm watching this episode for the podcast, I'm picking up on this stuff, and I was like, "Damn you, Brielle, jeez Louise!" Like I didn't think like this until you brought up the whole Hakoda and Bato, and now I'm just like noticing these little tiny things that could be taken a certain way. But I'm just like, I know it's not. But
sorry,
yeah.
not sorry, not sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, okay. I want to say that I don't think that you should watch a show with the intention of shipping.
Yeah.
I don't think that's why you should watch a show. I think there's so much to a television show or a movie that doesn't involve, romantic pairings, So when I watched Avatar for the first time, I really wasn't trying to watch it with shipper goggles. I really, really wasn't. Like, I'm going to be honest here. When I watched the show, for example, with Bato and Hakoda, I was like, and then I kind of moved on, and obviously like Suki and Sokka and Aang and Katara, because they're like canon, and like, like Zuko and Mai and stuff. But like, I really didn't watch the show with shipper goggles. It wasn't until after I watched the show for the first time and I was like in the fandom and like reading fanfic and stuff that I was like, oh, wait, that's such a smart idea. Oh, wait, that totally makes sense. And then I would go back, and now, like, rewatching the episodes, I see so much more. So, like, I don't want to tell people not to ship things, but I also want to tell people don't try to force it,
Yeah.
Like, this is all in good fun. Like, ship what you want. Like, I'm making a joke. Do I ship Sakasuki Zuko? Absolutely, 100%. But, like, it's not important necessarily to my enjoyment of the show, and again, it wasn't like staring me bright smack in the face. It wasn't until after when I started to really think about the episodes and like think about some of the lines and stuff that I was like, oh yeah, there's definitely some shipping potential there.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry.
No.
Anyway, but yeah, I love these episodes. And it starts off with Zuko making everybody tea, which is really nice, and you can see that the gang is starting to accept him. Even Katara. Like, I feel like these episodes, including, like, Southern Raiders, is kind of where Katara realizes that Zuko can be trusted. Because he came back with Aang and taught Aang firebending and is a good firebending teacher. And then with these episodes, he not only, like, keeps her brother safe, but he brings back her father. So I think that, like, these episodes, you sort of start to see that Katara stops being, like, so much of a bitch to him. And I like that. But yeah, like he makes them tea and he tries to tell them a joke. Doesn't work, but he tries.
You gotta set it up. He just had the punchline.
Yeah. Leave me alone. I'm bushed. Oh, Zuko. Sokka asks Zuko, hey, if someone was captured by the Fire Nation, where would they go? And Zuko's like, oh, it's really bad. It's this like horrible prison. It's called Boiling Rock. It's like in a lake of like boiling water in a volcano. And and Sokka's like, cool. No reason, just wanted to know. So the next morning, Sokka wakes up like super early. And he goes to climb on Appa, and Zuko's like, hey, good morning. Like, Zuko, how long were you waiting there?
He plotted this out.
He was like, I gotta be up. Like, it's so funny. I love it so much. And Sokka basically explains, like, that his father is probably a boiling rock and he wants to rescue him because it's his fault that he's there. And Zuko's like, no, you can't do that. Like, also, like, Sokka looks so good in these episodes.
Yeah, he does.
Like,
that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know
like
why
he is growing into his cheekbones. Shook. And I love that he's like, fine, you caught me. Are you happy? I'm never happy. Like, chill, Zuko. Chill on the drama queen. It's very early in the morning.
Such an emo kid.
Yeah.
Such an emo teen.
But then Sokka says the code word. He says honor. He says, I have to regain my honor. And Zuko's like, well, I guess I have to help you now.
Because I know all about regaining honor.
Yeah. So basically they take Zuko's war balloon. and they go to Boiling Rock, and it's a very awkward trip. They're like, hey, so yeah, like it's very awkward. And you know, they talk about basically people they left behind, and you know what Zuko kind of dealt with leaving behind the Fire Nation. And he mentions that, like, oh, he had a girlfriend, and you know he left her behind, and that was really hard. And I like, this is why I ship Zuko and Mai, because like you really can see that like Zuko cares about her, because Sokka's like, you mean the crazy girl with the knives who sighs a lot? And Zuko's like, yeah. Yeah, that's my girl. Gotta love her.
That's Mai.
He really loves her, I think. And yeah, I love that little smile. And then we have the greatest line in the whole show, the greatest exchange, which is, my first girlfriend turned into the moon. That's rough, buddy. It's so funny. Okay. I knew about that's rough, buddy. I knew about that one line because, like, you know, I'm on the internet. How do you not know it? But I didn't know, again, what the context was. And I was a little worried because the same thing happened with There Is No War in Ba Sing Se, and that fucked me over and I cried. So I was a little worried that That's Rough Buddy was also going to be, like, sad. So we're watching it, and it gets to that part, girlfriend turned into the moon, that's rough, buddy, and I lost it. It was so funny. And the thing is, it's really not that funny. It's really not the funniest joke on the show. It's not like it's funny, sure, but it's not like that funny. But you know, something about it, the delivery, the feeling of like awkwardness, like what do you even say to that? What do you even say to that? Like, Zuko lives in this world where there is magic and there are spirits, so it's not like the craziest thing to ever hear, but like, how do you respond to that?
Yeah. That's
rough, buddy. Like, it's so funny. It's such a good line.
Definitely that line was lost on me as a kid.
Oh, really?
I didn't even know it was a big thing until...
Yeah, it's kind of like known outside the fandom, I think. Yeah.
I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah. Oh, man, it's just like, that is like peak Zuko. That is peak Zuko, peak awkward Zuko. Because what do you even say to that?
Your girlfriend turned into the moon. Like, damn. It sucks to suck.
Yeah, you know? like that's rough, buddy.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say. Yikes. Especially because like Zuko was there, you know?
Yeah, so he
was like, oh yeah. So they get to the prison, and they basically realize that it's kind of a one-way trip, you know, because the way that the air is around the prison, they can't use the balloon. So they're going to have to find a new way off. And, you know, Zuko's like, I thought you had the plan. Like, you're the plan guy. And Sokka's like, no, this time I didn't have a plan. And I'm like, oh, man, they're just sharing one brain cell today, aren't they?
I mean, in Sokka's defense, it was because how badly the invasion went. So you're just like, you know what? Fuck plans. I'm just gonna wing it.
Yeah, I mean, in Sokka's defense, the plan was a good one. It was just that they knew about it. If they hadn't have known about it, it might have been better. But
yeah, that is true. Forgot about that.
Yeah. But
damn
Zuko,
you, Earth King.
Yeah. But Zuko is like, no, I'm here with you. I'm gonna stand behind you. Whatever you need to do, I'm gonna help you. I'm your friend. Arm squeeze. So they basically they get into some guard uniforms, and they're trying to figure out if Hakoda is there, and if anyone else is there, basically. And they, you know, see these guards, like, you know, attack a prisoner, and Zuko, like, goes to help, because he's a good boy. Zuko goes to help, and Sokka's like, no, you can, it'll blow our cover. I just like that moment, that little moment, because Zuko, like, wants to help as opposed to, like, you know, be a guard. And Zuko realizes that Hakoda's not there, because he goes to the lounge and he talks to a couple other guards, and and he realizes that Hakoda's not there. And Zuko says to Sokka, like, hey, if you want to leave, we'll just leave. Like, whatever you want to do, I'll stick with you. There's a new transport coming in. It could have your father, it might not. It's up to you. And I love that. I love that, like, we know that, like, Katara and Aang and Toph trust Sokka and kind of deign to his wisdom and go along with his plans. But for Zuko, who's the same age as Sokka, if not a little bit older, who kind of Zuko's always been in charge, for him to say, no, Sokka, this is your plan. I'm going to do what you tell me to do. That's really important. That's, really important that Zuko is basically saying, like, I trust you to know what you're doing. I trust your plan. I trust your intelligence. Like, I'm here to help you. Like, that's such an important moment, I think.
I agree.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a really important moment, not only for Zuko, but for Zuko and Sokka's friendship. That they have this kind of implicit trust in each other. And you gotta love Zuko trying to give advice like Iroh.
Talk about
taking a bite out of the silver sandwich.
Yeah. And I love how like Sokka sees Suki and he was like, this is great. And Zuko was just like, oh, wow, really? Because I don't know what I was saying. And Zuko was like, nah, what you said made absolutely no type of sense. But look, there's Suki.
Yeah. And also like Sokka with those heart eyes. Same, bro, same. Every time I see Suki, it's just Suki! Heart eyes.
How did you react when...
The first time, I was so pumped. I was like, yeah, Suki's here. All right.
They caught you off guard? Or?
Yeah, because I honestly... I had a feeling that I would see her again. Because, she pops up a lot. Like she just pops up for episodes here or there. So I was expecting to see her again, but I didn't expect to see her there. And I was so happy. Like, not happy that she was in jail, but I was happy that we got her and she's here and now she's with the gang and it's great. I love it. Gotta love it. Zuko says, I don't know if your father's going to be on that transport, but Suki's here, so we can still do the plan. And so Sokka decides that he's going to do that and he's going to save Suki. And he goes to see Suki and he tries to do the thing that she did to him, where it's like, oh, you don't remember me? Kiss, kiss. Except he's dressed like a guard in a prison. And so she rightfully attacks him. And then she's like, oh, wait, no, Sokka, I love you. And they kiss, and it's very sweet. She looks so good.
Yes. So
good. She pulls off that prison uniform. Let me tell you. They both do. Zuko, too. They pull it off. So basically, they have to make Zuko a prisoner, too.
Well, not intentionally, happened by accident. Because when the whole reunion with Sokka and Suki
happens,
a guard was coming to.
Oh yeah, and Zuko like attacks her basically so that she doesn't open the door, and Zuko gets turned into a prisoner, and he meets the warden who has a impeccable, spotless record. No one has ever escaped from the Boiling Rock, and Zuko's like, oh, how do you know who I am? And the guy's like, oh, because you broke my niece's heart. And he's like, ooh, awkward. Ooh, of all the wardens I had to get, it had to be you.
Had to be you.
Yeah, so Zuko's now a prisoner, and but it actually works out because Sokka has a really good plan. And he introduces Zuko to Suki, and they're like, actually, we've met. Yeah, you kind of burned down my village. Oh, sorry.
Nice to meet you again.
Yeah, and they were like, okay, cool. Like, they're just friends now. Like, yeah. I love that. I love that Suki's like, nah, we're fine now. It's all good.
Water under the bridge.
Yeah, whatever. Sokka basically comes up with this plan, and it's a brilliant plan. He realizes that the coolers, which are a form of punishment in the prison, because it's like this freezing room, and when you're a firebender, that's really bad for you because it like lowers your heat. Because they keep the cold in, they keep the heat out. So they're going to use a cooler to like sail across the ocean. And then I don't know what he expects to do after they get on the outside of the volcano. I don't know, but so that's his plan. And it's a pretty good plan considering. I mean, it's not 100% foolproof, but it's a good plan. And Cheat Sang, who is this like huge like prisoner guy, is like, I want it on your plan. And Sokka's like, what plan? We're not hatching a plan. The only thing we're hatching is an egg. And like Suki and Zuko are just like, ugh.
Come on.
Which was one of the reasons that I'm like, oh, so they're all together. Gotta love boyfriends and girlfriends being exasperated with their boyfriend.
Oh my God.
They basically like fake a fight. They stage a fight. And Zuko uses firebending, which is against the rules in the prison, and he gets sent to the cooler. All that stuff happens, and Sokka like opens the door to the cooler and he's like, well, have you learned your lesson? And listen, I am a bisexual woman. I'm already attracted to men. But like when Zuko like looks up and smirks and says, yeah, I have, and like blows out the fire, I was like, oh, okay. If I was a man, this would have turned me gay. Like that was the moment.
Right there.
Yeah. I think that was the moment for Sokka too. If you ship it. Because like what? Like just you see his like arms and they're like nice and like beefy, and like he just looks up and he smirks and he blows out fire. Like everyone else in the cooler, they're like a shivering mess, but he's like, no man, I'm fine. Here's everything you wanted. And I'm like, oh Zuko. Oh Zuko. Like, oh man, it's just, listen.
And on the flip side of that, it just goes back to Iroh's teaching. Remember your fire breath.
Yeah, breath of fire. So basically, Zuko, while he was in the cooler, was like unscrewing it and everything, and some guards pass by and they're like, oh, we have a couple of like new prisoners coming in. Some like water, what did they say, water tribe people? No, they say war prisoners. Yeah. And so Sokka's like, oh my gosh, that could be my dad. Oh my gosh. So they basically, they're like, oh, well, you know what, listen, we can't sit around, we have to just go. So Sokka, Suki, Zuko, Cheat-Sang, and these two other people that don't end up escaping with them later.
No.
That's weird.
Just leaves one behind.
Yeah, he's like, well, it didn't work this time, bye.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel bad, but whatever. They basically like, they're about to get into the cooler and Sokka's like, I don't know. I kind of want to stay for my dad. And Zuko and Suki are like, we'll stay with you. If you want to stay and try and see if it's your dad, like we'll stand by you. And he's like, well, I don't know. It could be nothing. And then I would have jeopardized your safety. Cheat-Sang is like, bye, you know?
Yeah.
But Zuko and Suki, you know, really care about Sokka. And they care about his father. And so they decide to stay with him. And so Cheat-Sang and them leave, but they stay. Yeah, and then we go into part 2. And yeah.
Oh wait, part 1 ends with seeing that Hakoda was on the what was it, a gondola? That's what you call it?
Yes. Yeah, it's a gondola. That was in this episode?
They ended the episode like that.
Oh yeah, because they bring all the prisoners out and they're like, all right, there's one more, get out here, gotta have the suspense. And then Hakoda comes out looking so good. And yeah, then the episode ends. Yeah. It's a good episode.
It is.
And then it leads straight into part 2. They realize that Hakoda's there and they line up all the prisoners and the warden is like, look me in the eyes. And Hakoda's like, no, bitch.
Basically.
No, bitch. And the warden like humiliates him a little bit. And then Hakoda does look him in the eye. But he gets the last laugh because he trips him. Yeah, which is nice. And so, and meanwhile, Cheat-Sang and the other 2 prisoners unfortunately get recaptured because he touches the boiling water and he screams.
Like an idiot.
Yeah, like an idiot. But to be fair, it looked like the cooler wasn't the best thing. Like it was working, but it wasn't perfect.
It was just slow.
Yeah. And again, what were they gonna do after they got out? Like Sokka and Zuko like destroyed the war balloon. So how would Cheat-Sang and those 2 other people get off the volcano island? You know? That's what I would want to know. Like, what was Sokka's plan there? I don't think he had one.
Well, what I would think is like to wing it, if they continue winging it, was wait for another shipment of prisoners and then like maybe commandeer the airship.
Okay, yeah, maybe. But yeah, I don't think Sokka had a plan. Yeah. So Sokka goes into his dad's cell. Again, he forgets that he's dressed like a guard. And his dad almost kills him. But Hakoda's like, oh my gosh, Sokka. So they hug. I bet Hakoda gives great hugs. He looks like he gives good hugs.
Yeah.
And, you know, Sokka basically goes here's what you missed on Glee. And he explains everything to his dad. He's like, yeah. Suki's here. I love her. She's the best. And Zuko's here too. And Hakoda's like, oh no. And Sokka's like, no, it's a good thing. He's a good guy now. He's our friend. And Hakoda's like, okay.
Sure, why not?
Whatever, gotta love it. He's just rolling with the punches. But this episode's like a little reunion, because we have Suki, and then we have Hakoda, and then we have May, and then later on we have Azula and Ty Lee. It's like a big reunion.
Yeah, a whole lot happens in this episode.
Sokka has to come up with a new plan, and so he goes to Zuko's cell, and they have to like pretend to be fighting, so like Sokka can tell him, and like Zuko's like, yeah, punch the pillow, man. You got it. Look at you. You're so strong. Yeah, keep punching that pillow, Sokka. Yeah, keep punching it. Anyway,
okay. Yeah.
Again, this was a realization after.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Zuko liked Sokka roughing him up. Anyway,
oh, the puns. Okay. Yeah.
So Cheat Sang is being like interrogated, and they're like, who came up with this plan? Because you obviously didn't. And Cheat Sang is a real bro. He's a real bro. He understands the rules of prisons, which is you don't be a snitch. And he ends up helping them because he says it's a different guard that's like undercover, and he ends up like helping Sokka and Zuko with their like plan. And so out of nowhere, Zuko gets called to the warden. So once Cheat Sang is done, Zuko gets called to the warden, and the reason that he's called into the warden is because May wants to speak with him. And honestly, I feel like Zuko was probably like, can I just have the warden back? like I'd be scared.
Like, doesn't want to deal with this.
Yeah.
That whole encounter between him and May. I don't know. I just love the pacing of it.
Yeah.
How he's pushed in. He's like, I didn't do anything wrong, and then May is just in the corner. It's like, come on, Zuko. We both know that's not true, and everything.
Kill Bill sirens.
Right. And he's sitting in a chair. I just love the shot because they leave the door open.
Yeah.
So like light is going through. So the light is on Zuko. He's just sitting in a chair, and May's just pacing around him, reading the letter. Dear May, I'm sorry I have to do this. And Zuko's just like, I don't want to hear it. Like I know what I wrote.
Yeah.
How she just throws the scroll at his head. Like,
yeah.
Like, it wasn't about you, May. Wow, that makes me feel even better. I don't know. I just love this scene.
Yeah, they're both so goddamn dramatic.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that I really love this scene too because, he's telling May, I had to do it. I had to do it for the Fire Nation. I had to do it because I had to join Aang. And she doesn't get it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's important because May, and I'm not necessarily saying it's her fault, but she was born into this culture. She was indoctrinated into this culture. And she is still kind of in that mindset of the Fire Nation is always right. The Fire Nation is good. Everyone else needs us. We're helping them by kind of hurting them. And she still has that point of view. And while, yes, technically, until she got up with Azula, wasn't actively doing anything to further the agenda of the Fire Nation, her inaction was furthering the agenda of the Fire Nation. By just letting things happen, she was making things worse. And she needs to learn that her inaction and then later her actions to help Azula were not good things and that the Fire Nation was wrong. Zuko has already learned that. She has not. And I think this episode is so good because this episode is, for her, I think, kind of the first step in her redemption arc. Because later on in the show, we see her hanging out with the gang. So obviously they've accepted her and forgiven her for the things that she's done. So obviously she goes through some kind of metamorphosis in her brain. And I think this is the start of that. Because, she's sitting there like Zuko had everything he wanted. He was the prince. We were in the Fire Nation. The Fire Nation was winning. He had me. Like, why would he give that up? Something's got to be really wrong for him to give all that up. Mm-hmm. And so I think that letter and this confrontation, I think, is kind of what sparked that idea that, like, maybe I'm wrong, that maybe the way I live is wrong, that maybe the people that I've trusted are wrong.
I definitely feel like some dialogue happened off screen.
Oh, definitely. They definitely talked a lot more. And I hope that Zuko kind of explained like why he did what he did, like why he left her.
So then while all that's going on,
Yeah.
Sokka and Hakoda are executing the plan that they came up together. And Sokka goes and he tells the guard, "Hey, let all the prisoners out and everything." And I just love how the guard is like, "But it's a lockdown. Shouldn't we keep all the prisoners in?" And Sokka's just like, "Oh, I'll just go tell the warden that you undermining his authority." He's like, "No, no, no, no. It's just a little confusing right now. I'm letting the guards out and
Yeah.
everything." And then later we see the warden's just like, "Why are they out? It's a lockdown." And the guard's just like, I'm just gonna
go.
I'm just gonna go.
Oh, wait, before that, when they try to figure out who the guard is that's the imposter.
Yeah.
Who's the imposter? As if there's not a literal 16-year-old child in that lineup.
With blue eyes.
With blue eyes, significantly shorter than all the other. Like, listen, I understand that sometimes, 16-year-olds can look older, and some of those guards looked young, like they looked like they were in their 20s. But like, who's the imposter? Gee, I wonder. Maybe it's the significantly shorter random guy who looks really young compared to all the other guards. Like maybe it's
You would think.
you would think,
nah.
yeah. But Cheat Seng points out the guard who like put him in the cooler way before. And it's like, yeah, revenge. And then when they're questioning that guard, Azula comes in and she's like, "Oh yeah, this isn't the imposter. You guys messed up. Let me take care of things for you because clearly you guys can't."
I just love the line of, "How do you know? I'm a people person."
Yeah.
Like, woo.
And she is, though.
She
like,
is.
not in the right connotation,
Right.
but she is a people person. So all the prisoners are out in the yard and they have to start a riot. And Hakoda's like, "I can do it." And he pushes some guy. And the guy's like, "I don't want to start a riot." It's like,
No, that kind of hurt my feelings.
where?
I've been working on my anger management here. So.
Good for you. But then they see Cheat Sang, and Cheat Sang's like, "No, I'll start a riot. Just bring me with you." And they're like, "Okay." So Cheat Sang starts a riot. It's very easy. He literally just goes, "Riot, riot."
And everyone's like, "Yeah, let's riot." I love how Hakoda's just like, impressive.
Yeah. And then they're like, "Okay, we got to get the warden," because what they're going to do is they're going to kidnap the warden and then get on a gondola. And the reason that they will be able to escape is because the warden is their prisoner, basically. He's their hostage. And so they have to get the warden, and they're like, "How are we going to do it?" And then Cheat Sang goes, "You guys, your girlfriend's taking care of it." Cheat Sang ships him. Because he said, "Your girlfriend."
Yeah, I caught that. I caught it.
He ships it. Anyway, so Suki, light of my life, badass of my heart, literally runs on top of people's heads, climbs up a wall, flips over and over and over, and kidnaps the warden. It takes like 10 seconds. Get you a girl who can do that. Your girl could never. Oh man, I got it. Oh god, she kidnaps the warden, and Hakoda's like, "That's some girl," and Sokka's like, "Yeah, she is."
Yeah. As they're all trying to catch their breath.
Yeah, I love that.
Couldn't keep up with her.
Yeah, so they basically, with the warden, they get onto a gondola, and Azula sees them, and oh wait, okay, backtrack a little bit. So Zuko is like, "Hey, I gotta go be in a riot," when he's talking to May, and she's like, "What?" And he basically like traps her in the cell, and like her eyes and his eyes, when they're like staring at each other through the little hole, ooh, that is just anger. That is just anger and betrayal and just sadness and like heartbreak. Ooh, those eyes. Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Anyway, so they kidnap the warden, they get on the gondola, and Azula and Ty Lee are there. And Azula uses her fire like a fucking jetpack, just like blasting off the ground, which is so cool. Have we seen that before? Damn, that's cool. Yeah, she uses it like a fucking jetpack, and she and like and Ty Lee basically are gonna fight, and Zuko basically like breaks the mechanism that controls the gondola, so it only goes up, and he runs and jumps, and Sokka catches him, and it's very dramatic. And he's like, "Why did you do that?" He's like, "So they can't stop us." Yeah, sharing one brain cell. So Azula comes up with Ty Lee, And Azula fights Sokka and Zuko, and Ty Lee fights Suki. It's a rematch, bitch.
Yeah. Suki's just like, oh, I've been waiting for this.
Yeah. And they fight, and it's a pretty good fight. Like Suki and Ty Lee are really evenly matched.
What I thought was a little interesting was there was no banter from Azula. Like, oh brother, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
You know? She was just straight to the point.
I think because the time for play is over. Like, that's enough, Zuko. We've had enough. Like, not only did you abandon Father and me, you abandoned May, and now you're like trying to destroy one of our prison systems. Like, the time it's done. I'm done playing Zuko. Like, this is a fight, and so that's my kind of opinion on that. And they fight and they fight and they fight, and the warden is able to get his like mouth thing off. And he's like, cut the line. Because he said earlier in the episode, he would rather die than have prisoners escape. And that's the thing that he's willing to do. And so they start to cut the line. So Azula and Ty Lee basically flip to another gondola that's coming the opposite way. Zuko almost falls and Sokka saves him. No, Sokka almost falls and Zuko saves him.
Yeah, right.
They both save each other. It's very nice. And they realize that... they're gonna basically fall into the pit of boiling water. And you know what? I kind of feel like in this moment, Ty Lee looks kind of sad.
No, she does.
Like, she does not look happy about the fact that she's gonna be killing Zuko as well as a bunch of other like innocent people, basically. You know, because she likes Zuko. I mean, she definitely, I think, cares about him, as we saw in the beach episode. So she's not happy about that, and I think that's just a ding in her brain. And there's another ding later, but like, you know, and so they're like, what are we going to do? Like, we're going to fall. This is terrible. And then May shows up, like the badass she is, just like mowing down guards with her knives and she like kicks the thing so that the gondola starts going. Oh, so amazing. Who is that? It's May. Oh, of course it is. This episode, I love these episodes so much because May and Suki are my favorite fucking characters. I love them so much.
And they both got time to shine.
They both had time to shine, yeah.
I love the shot of when they're trying to see who it is before they realize it's May. How, like, you know, she is one of the she pauses emotion and like she like, you know,
whips
side
her head.
profile and it's like, oh, it's May, blah blah, and just the music is just. It comes off as a very emotional moment.
Yeah.
You know, everyone's freaking out. Oh, it's May. Azula's just like, what the fuck is she doing?
Yeah.
And then like just to like kind of lighten up the mood a little, Ty Lee's just like,
yeah.
know? But it's a very powerful moment.
Yeah, and you see, I mean, like, we know that May is strong and powerful, but it really shows. Like, she is so fast in this scene at like, you know, putting all those guards against the wall.
She took them all down.
She took them all down. Yeah. So Azula goes down to first the gang basically
they escape.
They like toss the warden somewhere. Who cares about him? And they basically escape in Azula's like airship, which is yay convenient. So they get away and it's all good. Everyone's happy. And then meanwhile, Azula gets down to the ground and she sees May. And she's like, what were you thinking? How could you do that? Like, what's going on? Like, you know, she's mad. She's really mad. And
it's the specific wording. She's like, you knew the consequences.
Yeah. And May's like, yeah, I did. And May is 100% ready to fight her. And she goes, you know, I guess you just miscalculated. I love Zuko more than I fear you. Crack. Just a crack. That's the crack in Azula.
The first? Okay,
that's the first crack. And Azula's like, no, you miscalculated. And they're like ready to fight. Like, May was like, I might die, but I'm going to fight.
I actually think that May would have won. My humble opinion. I feel like May would have won. Because she was able to take out all these guards.
Yeah, that's true.
On her own. And Azula's smart. She keeps those close to her people who she sees can be a threat.
Yeah.
Because Ty Lee could definitely be a threat and May could definitely be be a threat. And we see that if it wasn't for the guards, Ty Lee and May would have been out.
Yeah.
Because as soon as Ty Lee cheat blocked Azula, she was down for the count.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
There was no getting up for that.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah, definitely.
You think May could have won?
Oh man, hands down.
I don't know. I feel like the head on fight aspect of it would suit Azula more than May. You know? I mean, I don't think it would have been an easy fight. I feel like May would have definitely gotten a few hits, but I don't know if she would have won. I don't know. She might have, because she was calm, cool, and collected, and Azula wasn't. Right. She might have won that way.
Yeah.
So it's possible. Yeah. But yeah, so May is preparing to fight Azula, and Ty Lee, out of nowhere, like, I did not expect it. Like, I kind of had a feeling that, like, May might go to Zuko's side at some point, but I did not expect Ty Lee. Ty Lee chi blocks her, and Azula goes down. And Ty Lee's like, we gotta get out of here. Like, oh my gosh. And then Azula is like, guards. And they basically, like, throw May and Ty Lee, I guess, in jail,
Yeah, basically.
I mean, it's her uncle's prison, so I'm sure it's fine. But, like,
Yeah. I mean, we find out in the end that they were okay.
Yeah, they were okay. Like, that shot when Ty Lee first hits Azula, like, the shock on Azula's face. Ooh, that's such a good moment. Like, because that's what I mean when I say, like, this episode is so important for a lot of people. Like, it's May's kind of moment of, like, things need to change, and it's Ty Lee's moment of, things need to change, even though Ty Lee kind of knew that before. But I think this moment was the start of Azula's breakdown.
Definitely. Like,
the betrayal of her friends, because she never, ever expected it. She never expected them to turn on her, because she ruled them with a mix of with fear and with power, and she never expected that love would be more powerful than that, because why would she? She was raised by Azulon and Ozai to see love as something weak, as something stupid. So for May to be like, no, my love for someone is stronger than anything that you could do, that's out of Azula's frame of reference. And again, I think with May, she really didn't expect it, because May was just doing this because she was bored. It wasn't like she had some crazy allegiance to someone else. She was with Azula because she had nothing better to do, and she was afraid. And with Ty Lee, I think she never expected it, because Ty Lee made it that way. Like, remember I was saying, like, I feel like Ty Lee is one of the smartest people in the group, because she spent her whole life, Ty Lee, basically, saying, oh, Azula, you're so smart. Oh, Azula, you're so powerful. Oh, Azula, you're the best. And so for her to turn on Azula was probably a real shock and a blow.
Yeah.
Because she never gave any inclination to that. Like, maybe May, if she got bored enough, she'd leave. But, like, Ty Lee would never leave. Ty Lee worships the ground Azula walks on.
Yeah.
But I think Ty Lee was always prepared to do it. I think Ty Lee was always prepared to betray Azula. Because she got away. She was in the circus. She was happy. And then Azula came back and ruined everything. And then Azula insults her. Like, in the beach episode, like, she's really mean to Ty Lee.
Yeah.
Like, granted, we don't see their entire friendship, but it seems to me like Azula's not mean to Ty Lee. Like, yeah, she doesn't compliment Ty Lee, and maybe she might hurt her, like, physically, but in the flashbacks, it doesn't seem like Azula's ever, like, verbally mean to Ty Lee. Like, she doesn't call Ty Lee stupid. She doesn't, like, insult her. But then in the beach episode, she, like, really upsets Ty Lee, and she makes her cry, and, and I think that was also a moment for Ty Lee where she was like, I'm not doing this shit anymore. The first chance I get, I'm out. And I think this was her chance. And, Ty Lee cared more about May than she did about Azula. Because Ty Lee was never Azula's friend. I think she was May's, though. Ty Lee and May were definitely friends. But I don't think Ty Lee was ever Azula's friend. She was with Azula because she had to be. Because it was safer. And because it did more for her,
Than being against her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so May and Ty Lee betray Azula. And I think this is that first crack in her armor.
Yeah. with Azula is all about mind games.
Yeah.
And she sees that like the mental hold she thought she had on both May and Ty Lee
Yeah.
just obliterated.
Yeah.
Because when we see her during the invasion, she plays all three of them like a fiddle. She plays Aang, Sokka, and Toph. You
Yeah.
know, it took longer to get Sokka, but like she knew to like push the Suki button.
Yeah.
And that would get him. So she like she says in the beginning, she's a people person.
Yeah.
You know, and May brings that up before she says, I love Zuko more than I fear you. She's like, maybe you don't know people as well as you think you do.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's the crack, because it's this whole reality that Azula had in her head.
Yeah.
Now it's like, what the fuck? No, A plus B does not equal Z.
Yeah.
What's happening? Like, there's a glitch in the matrix.
Yeah.
How the fuck is this happening
Yeah.
right now? You know?
And I think it's because of the fundamental lack of understanding that Azula has about what motivates people.
Right.
You know, because she's been using fear and threats and promises of power, and love is stronger than all of those. The love of a friend, the love of a, boyfriend or a lover or a husband is stronger than all of that. And she doesn't understand that because she never had that, because she
Right.
was taught to view those kind of relationships as weak and as stupid and as inferior. And so that's why she wasn't expecting it.
Yeah.
Why would that ever happen? And also I think she really underestimated Zuko. Not his like power in the situation, but like him as a person. Because I think in her brain, Zuko was a nice bonus for May. Oh, join with me, do what I say, and you'll get Zuko. And May was that for Zuko. Come back to father, come back to me, be the prince, do as I say, be a good little brother, and you can have May. Bonus, everybody's happy.
Right.
You two will keep each other happy because I gave you May, because I gave you Zuko, you're indebted to me. And I don't think she realized that their love wasn't because of her. I mean, I guess technically it was, but it wasn't because of her. It was its own thing. And she didn't understand that,
And I know this is not until the next episode, but I just want to bring this up now.
Yeah.
When the next episode opens up and Azula's attacking them and everything, the way everything was going, at first I thought it was a dream sequence, because she just came off as so unraveled.
Yeah.
It was like, Zuko's just like, what's happening? What are you doing here? And Azula's just like, can't you tell? I'm about to celebrate being the only child.
Oh, that's
like,
such a good line. When we get to that
when
episode,
we get to that,
we're going to talk about it.
But it's just like, that is Azula, but at the same time, it's a unhinged Azula.
Yeah.
For her to like react like that, like so chaotically. Like usually she's calm, calculated. Like, can't you realize I'm about to celebrate being the only child? She said, no, don't you realize?
Yeah, she's...
Yeah,
it's... This moment, I think, is just the realization that she's not as in control as she thought. And when you're someone who is so, I think, meticulous about the control that you have and the power you wield, when your platform becomes unsteady, it all crumbles down. When you're that uptight, when you're that kind of, tense about everything, and the consequences for being not that way are dire. I'm not surprised that Azula broke down the way that she did.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that in the next episode, definitely. Yeah, so the gang comes back to the air temple, and Hakoda's there. Suki's there, Hakoda's there. And hi, I'm Cheat Sang.
I'm new.
Yeah. And Hakoda gets to hug his kids, and it's just very sweet. Yeah.
And Toph is just like, y'all didn't get any food whatsoever.
Yeah.
Come on.
No meat?
No meat.
Oh, also, going back to the first Boiling Rock episode when Katara reads the note and they're like, oh, we went to go fish. Hey, don't forget, you have to do this many hot squats and this many things every time you hear a badger frog croak. And Aang goes, oh, why does no one else have homework? Because no one else is the Avatar, Aang.
Come on, Aang. You know better.
No one else has homework because no one else has to save the world. No one else has homework.
No shit.
I just had to mention that because it's so funny.
And on top of that, when they picked up the letter, Momo was just like,
Oh yeah.
that was hilarious. But yeah.
Uh,
All
yeah,
right.
these are some good episodes. Like I said, these Boiling Rock episodes are my favorite
Mhm.
because not only are they really funny in a lot of places, but they're so important to various characters. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's almost like a play on the title, Boiling Rock. Because, like, you about to boil over, about to lose your shit.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
to Azula's point.
Hmm.
And, like, everything topples over.
Yeah, everything boils over.
Everything-
Yeah. Clever.
Clever. Okay, I see what you did there, writers. Okay.
All right.
Mhm.
Anything else?
No, that's all.
Okay.
All right, let's wrap it up. All right, well, thank you for listening and thank you for watching our YouTube viewers, the three of you. Thank you. You can listen to us wherever you can find a podcast, whether that's on Apple, Spotify, wherever a podcast is available. Subscribe, share, comment if you have any opinions on our opinions, and we'll see you next episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.